Hey guys, it's Courtney King with King Realty. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm sorry, I just finished a conversation with somebody else and it's kind of funny. So anyway, today we're talking about appraisals, and this topic couldn't come at a better time. So basically, I'm gonna give you some background information, and I'm just gonna kind of be a little bit specific because I realize that some people may not know what an appraisal is, why you need it, all that good stuff. So let's take care of the housekeeping stuff, okay? So an appraisal basically is something that a lender orders. So a bank, if they're going to finance the purchase of a home, they're going to order an appraisal from an appraisal company. And that appraisal company is a third party that's not related to anybody in the transaction. And they pull comparable properties, they're licensed, and they basically issue their appraisal report, which is the valuation of the property. So they say, okay, this property is worth this amount of money, okay? And so in our market right now, what's happening is that people are getting into a bidding war for properties. So I've seen it all over the place. I've had listings where buyers will want my listing so bad that they'll go $15,000 over list price, or $10,000 or $3,000 in this particular case, okay? So at the end of the day, it's like buyers can offer whatever they want to offer on a home, which is great, right? Great for a seller. But the final say on the actual value of the property comes from the appraiser, which it's the luck of the draw. You know, you may get a seasoned appraiser that knows what they're doing. You may get a newbie that really may not know what they're doing. I'm not trying to insult appraisers, but I've seen a wide spectrum and dealt with a wide variety of appraisers. So that's just kind of the breakdown. This particular video is more focused on how sellers should respond to a low appraisal. We'll do another video with how buyers should respond, and I'll share my experience because when I bought my last house back in August, the appraisal came in short, and so my approach from a buyer's perspective is totally different than a seller's perspective, okay? And this is the main reason why. Sellers, you want the most money for your house, right? So when you list a property, your agent obviously pulls the market data that appraisers use, and usually give the price recommendation based on that value. So they'll take all the properties that are similar within a certain radius of your house, and they'll come up with a value, right? And so 9 times out of 10, we're usually spot on with value. But again, if a buyer wants to offer more, then that's their prerogative. So I had a list of 7 steps, but some of those items are more buyer related. So let's focus on the seller end of the spectrum. So we actually have a listing in Houston right now, went under contract very quickly. We did get a few offers. It was slightly above list price. The appraisal just came back $8,000 under what the buyer agreed to pay for the property. So at this point, we have a couple of things, again, from a seller standpoint. Number one, I approached the buyer's agent and said, hey, will your client split the difference? Just to be fair, we're not trying to get over on anybody. We don't want anybody to feel bad, but at the same time, my duty to the seller is to get them as much money as I can. And so the buyer's agent came back and said, no, they don't have any extra money to put down. So I'm like, okay. So got that out of the way. The second thing I did is I looked over the appraisal report. So I looked at every little detail. I looked at the 3 comparable properties that they put on the report. I looked at photos of those properties and compared everything to see, if it truly is a comparable or not, okay? In this particular case, this house has practically brand new everything. So I'm like, okay, wait, these comparables are not that similar because our property has been completely redone. So got that out the way. Then I went back to the MLS and I pulled 8 other, it was either 6 or 8 other properties within a very close proximity of our property that I think the appraiser should use or should reconsider, because even the comps that they used were all over the map. So I pulled those, and that's where I'm at right now. I presented that to the lender and the buyer's agent and said, hey, take a look at these. Let me know if the appraiser is going to make some adjustments, which in this case, I think some adjustments are worthwhile and are justifiable. But guys, you're dealing with a person, they may or may not want to make the adjustments. It's kind of 50-50. I've had some appraisers adjust their findings based on some additional information that I provided. But again, it depends on who we're dealing with. So the next thing that we do is wait. So we should have a response later today, but or possibly after the holiday. But now it's in the appraiser's hands. So if the appraiser comes back and says, hey, we will up the price to this, I take that back to my client and see what my client wants to do. The client has a couple of options. So if they say, yeah, we're going to bump the appraised value up, but we can't go all the way up to what the contract price is, then I talk with my client to see, are you okay with that? Do we just reduce the sales price and keep it moving since the buyer doesn't have any more money to put down? That's going to be his decision, but I walk him through the process, okay? On the flip side, the appraiser could come back and say, nope, my appraisal stands, I'm not changing anything. And I've seen that happen too. So at that point, I have to get with my client to see, do we just lower it to the appraised value and keep it moving? Because we are a little over 2 weeks away from closing. Or what do we do? So we could lower the value, keep it moving forward, and get this thing closed on time. We could go back and say, look, our bottom line to the buyers is that you bring at least $2,000 more, or whatever we decide, to close and see if they can pull it off. Or we let them walk, which that's like the very last worst case scenario. I don't think that's necessary, to be honest with you. And I do want to save the deal. I mean, just let's think about it. If this deal falls through, we have an appraisal that's on the property, more likely than not, we'll have to disclose that, or it will be disclosed if another buyer comes and has a lender who's going to finance the purchase. So if we were to walk away, it costs my client money in holding costs, taxes, insurance, utilities, and time, so that's where I have to chat with our client to see, okay, what is most important to you. So I try to usually present all the angles that we can take and then make my recommendations. But at the end of the day, it's the seller's call. So our job is just to make sure that we provide as much information as possible to not only our client, but also to the appraiser. So hopefully we can get them to adjust the value. We're not that far off, and there's a lot of positive things that I've presented. So I'll keep you posted. We will do another video targeting buyers and what they should do. But real quick, I actually just implemented this policy. So the Texas Real Estate Commission has a new form that is related to appraisals. Going forward, I'm just going to make sure that form is signed and executed as part of the initial negotiations, because then that takes all the question out about what do we do if the appraisal comes in short, okay? So if you're selling your house, make sure your agent uses that form to protect you. Even if you don't have any concern, or your agent doesn't have any concern about appraisal values because the comps are strong, I still recommend that you use it. It's just kind of a CYA thing, and it just makes the process a little bit more smooth. That form just came out not too long ago. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and comment below. Share if you know anybody that's in the process of selling their home or is about to list their home. They do want this information, especially with how crazy competitive things are right now. So hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you later.